Good evening and welcome to the 2025 New Mexico Tech Student Government Debates. My name is Elijah Collins. I'm the sitting president of the SGA, and I'm here with the sitting vice president and sole presidential candidate, Ella Hooks.
Hi, I'm Ella, and I'm running for SGA president for next year.
So I have some quick openings about the format that we're going to be conducting tonight. We'll have about 15 minutes of questions for Ella, both from a list that I have prepared and from the chat. And then we will take a short break and swap over to the vice presidential candidates. I will take my leave and they will sit up here and I will ask them questions from behind the camera. And we will have about 45 minutes for them since there are 3 of them and they're going to need a lot more time. So, Ella, the first question that I have for you is, are there any specific goals you have for your term as president?
Yeah, I have quite a few goals, and I'm sure that those will grow and change as I step into the role. But one of my current goals, and I'm not just saying it because we're broadcasting on their channel, is to incorporate K-Tech into the SGA. For those watching who don't know, K-Tech has historically been a branch of the SGA, but due to conflicts in the past and just various issues, it's been removed from our constitution and literature as well as our budget. And some students brought it back as a club last fall. It's done very well, I think, at broadcasting and promoting to the students. And an issue that we discuss a lot in the SGA is how to just do better advertising. We have a lot of fun events, but not a ton of student attendance, and also better advertising to improve our branding as an SGA so people understand what we do a little bit more. And so on that note, I think K-Tech moves us further into the 21st century with a more digital format. Almost all of our advertising is done physically in a paper format, and there are lots of students who that doesn't work for and that advertising strategy doesn't access. And so having it digitally, I think, is a really good thing. So bringing K-Tech into the SGA officially again would be a goal of mine moving forward. I also want to add more collaboration within the SGA itself. I've been here for 3 years, and I've been part of the SGA the whole time, and every year we get better at pushing that forward and making the branches more collaborative. But I would like everyone to see themselves as part of the SGA, not part of the legislative branch or part of the SAB or part of the separate organizations that the SGA contains, but part of the SGA as a whole. And then a final goal that I want to work on is improving our student relations. I'd say the vast majority of students either don't know what the SGA is or don't like the SGA. And as somebody who's dedicated 3 years of my life to working in the SGA, that always stings. And I'd love to figure out why that is and what we can do to fix that. I mean, that's been an ongoing project for everyone I know in the last 3 years. And as I said, we have been moving that forward, but I'd like to move it forward even more. So.
Well, that honestly perfectly segues us into our next question. So if you'd like to elaborate more on how you're willing to do that, how do you want to improve the image of the SGA to the student body?
Yeah, how I'd like to start out improving it is sending out a survey over the summer. If I take office, I will be taking office during the summer, to our existing students who have already heard about the SGA and ask them what have they heard, what part of that, very detailed, what a part of that is your personal experience and what part of that is just what you've heard from other people. And then also ask them if there's anything positive they can note, because while a lot of it's negative, there are positive interactions people have had. And so I'd like to ask them that. And then for incoming students, so that they can come in understanding what the SGA does, I'll go speak to students at their orientations and explain more about what the SGA does to get them foot in the door of understanding us when they get there, so that if they do dislike the SGA, it's formed from facts and actual information about what we do. Because lots of students assume we do more than we do, and a lot of students don't think we do anything. And so finding the middle ground of the truth of what the SGA's job is in actuality, I think, is really important to improving that around campus. And then also hosting some sort of town hall for students to be able to come talk to me, bring some free food maybe, to get students interested in going, and talk about their experiences in person, to see that we're just students too, and that we're actually there for them, and put a face to the name, I think, is always really beneficial.
Well, I think those are some absolutely admirable goals. Let's see, what do we have next? So this kind of touches on, again, what you, I think you had a very broad-ranging intro for your platform, but how do you think we can increase engagement with the Student Activities Board's events?
Yeah.
And what kind of advertising do you hope to see or facilitate moving forward?
Yeah, I think one of the things we can do to increase engagement is just increase the timing of when we're announcing things. The events that I've seen work really well that students know about, the students are honestly annoyed by how much they know about it. Your flyers absolutely everywhere. They're getting 3 or 4 emails about it every week leading up. It's just kind of putting it in their face. And so one thing I'd like to try and work towards is getting out the full 49er schedule in advance enough that students can plan for it, because I have heard some students say that they would put events in their calendar if they knew about it, and now they're going home that weekend, which can be a difficulty living in a town that has fewer resources. A lot of people go to Albuquerque for the weekend, and so it's nice to be able to let people plan when there are cool things going on in town. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I think having more digital media representation would be really good. So posting on the social medias more. If K-Tech does incorporate using them as a platform to talk about how we could promote our events and also what the events are actually going to look like. If we're having like guest speakers or performers, we could invite them to post on the platform for a little bit so that people aren't just going up and saying, oh, who's this comedian? I don't know if he's going to be funny, and actually linking the students to him so that they can see the content beforehand and say, oh, this is something I'd like to engage in. And then also cross-promoting events. So there's a lot of events that happen currently for the Senate. The Mental Health Committee is a committee that I'm really, really proud of, and they've been hosting really successful movie nights with attendance to 40 to 60 people per movie night on average, which for a tech event is really high numbers. And so if we cross-promoted and said, hey, here are our upcoming schedule of events for April at all the March events, and then at all the April events say, hey, here's what we're doing right before the end of the semester in May, that sort of thing I think would help bring students into wanting to be more involved and invested into the events.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic. This also, you're doing a great job of segueing into my next questions. So how would you coordinate events with departments under your authority and other departments within NMT?
Yeah. I think it's important to get people involved in the actual meeting process. So recently, as preparation for running for this, I've been sitting in on some of the SAB meetings, and I think a successful thing that we've done in coordinating that is bringing the actual organizations there to sit and talk to each other, because a lot of communication can get lost over email, and I think having that discussion in person is really important. And then I think from the managerial perspective of being the president and being in charge of some of the organizations within the SGA, I think it's important to give everyone a clear-cut to-do list of like, this is your portion of the event, please have it done with dates. And then when we have a larger check-in meeting where we're having maybe senators and SAB members come together, we can all say, oh, here's what I've done on my checklist. And I'd provide that to them as like a managerial moment. But that's a good way to like take in some leadership to be able to get everyone on the same page and coordinate our movements so that the events are more streamlined.
That sounds absolutely excellent. This is a little off script, but are there any particular departments in the wider New Mexico Tech that you're interested in collaborating with? Yeah,
one that I, again, like some personal bias here, I used to be a resident assistant, and I know that resident assistants have a lot of RAs, have a lot of events that they need to throw per semester, and so incorporating them into our events, which is something that has happened this year, has been successful. On both ends, and it also provides the resident assistant an opportunity to get to more students and the two departments more collaboration, which I think makes tech stronger when we collaborate between departments. So that would be a really good one to collaborate with. And then we can also collaborate with the Macy Center. I believe that they would be really good because they already host a lot of events and shows. And so in the past, we've done SGA sponsorships of the spring musical, and so we could try and doing that going forward as an opportunity to advertise better and also to build greater cooperation throughout the school departments.
Awesome. This is swinging wildly from events and event coordination all the way over to actual governmental things. Yeah. In the past, the SGA has worked with the administration and other universities and the New Mexico Senate to coordinate efforts to improve student life, like resisting tuition increases and looking to increase funding. If you were elected, how would you handle or approach this kind of effort?
Yeah. I think the best thing to do to approach that is I'm first and foremost going to be a student representative and to listen to what the students actually want. And so so if I know there's an issue coming up, I can send out surveys or ask people to ask their friends, pass out flyers for people to be able to respond with what they actually want me to bring to the table. And then also to have meetings with people in admin before the problem spirals out. Our current president, Eli, has been doing that this semester, of taking some of our student concerns and meeting with the admin responsible for that. And I commend that, and I'd like to continue that effort because a lot of times students will bring a complaint to us and we'll check in on it, but then no change happens. And so if we can bring it up to the admin and say, hey, this complaint happened, and if it doesn't get fixed, we can take it to the next level and have a history documentation of not skipping above. Because anytime I've tried to get something done with change and I go straight to the department head, it never goes well. And so if you've built up consistently over, let's say, weeks or months of I've gone to every single person up until you, and the problem has not been fixed, they've been aware of this for this many months, and just have really clear documentation, then it can be a lot easier for student concerns to actually get addressed.
Okay. Let's move over to questions from the chat. The first question from our Chief Justice, Sarah Stanley, is what's the biggest Pokemon that you could take in a fight without any weapons?
Okay, so we were talking about this before the stream started, and I Googled the answer because I was seeing what the internet would say about it, and they were all horrible. They were like Pikachu or Charmander, and I think people forget that the Pokemon have like powers and could just light me on fire and kill me. So I'm not doing that. I'm fighting Magikarp. He's going down. Fish don't have souls. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So.
Okay. Well, moving into a more serious question. How do you plan to put away personal bias when addressing situations that you would usually avoid outside of your professional capacity?
I think this is an excellent question, first off, for whoever wrote it.
It was Sarah again.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Sarah. But I think that this is really difficult. We've talked about this a lot at our Senate meetings, if you're ever have been to an SGA meeting, of how to take off your personal experience cap and put on your professional one. And so if there is an issue that I absolutely feel I am too biased in, I would love to bring in somebody else with a different perspective from me. I feel like that is the best solution if I am too biased, because I can try and avoid my bias as much as humanly possible, but we are all people who have been made up of our experiences, and if this isn't a personal experience that I cannot give my best self to or my best professional capacity, I need to bring in somebody else. And you know, I anyone who knows me personally knows I struggle to ask for help, but that's a moment where you really need to ask for help and look for somebody else within the SGA or the student community at large who can provide you a different perspective on that one. Obviously, you do your best to take, and I would do my best to take off that hat of personal experience and personal bias, but when I met with a situation I feel like I cannot handle in an objective sense, I need to be able to rely on other people with a more diverse perspective.
That sounds absolutely excellent. I think that's probably the best way of approaching it. Can we get some more? The Chief Justice, Sarah, says these are not her questions. Credit to the anonymous commenters.
Thank you to the anonymous commenters.
If anyone is interested in providing some comments real quick, I've got one more from an anonymous commenter, and then I will start going through whatever else is in the chat.
Perfect.
How do you think you can help the administration solve the problems of getting more students to attend tech?
So this is a question that I feel like is at the heart of how we can make tech better. Because if you don't know, student fees are how the SGA is paid, and our student fees are affected by the amount of enrollment. And so since I've been here consistently, the SGA is taking massive budget cuts. And so it's wonderful. We have a lot of really bright, energized people in the SGA currently who want to do more, but there is limitations. And that's just, a small department. There's lots of that on campus where they'd love to provide more resources for students. But when the student population is dwindling, it's harder to provide quality resources, quality meals, all of those things. And so that's a question that I think is at the core of how tech can improve as a whole. And really what we need to do is we need to petition admin to put more money into marketing. Our marketing budget compared to the amount of students and our budget as a whole is so much lower than if you do the same, like if you average it compared to like UNM or another university, our budget to marketing budget comparison is so much smaller. And as much as we can do things, bringing in K-Tech and having more media presence online, showing people that there's things to do at tech besides academics, all of those things are wonderful and help a little bit, but the largest thing we can do is do more marketing. You go to Walmart in Socorro right now and you will find UNM t-shirts for sale. You will not find a single New Mexico Tech t-shirt for sale. And that is upsetting as students who are many miles away from UNM and all chose to go here instead. Or you drive on the highway, you see NMSU, you see New Mexico, you see UNM, you don't see New Mexico Tech billboards. You see commercials for UNM, you see all this stuff, all that promotion, all that money is going to promoting more students to go there. Lots of people haven't even heard of New Mexico Tech, and I think that is a huge issue. So trying to work with the marketing department, scheduling meetings with them of how we can incorporate them into our marketing as well, how we can encourage more people to tell their friends about tech is important. So I think it boils down to encouraging the marketing department to help promote and work with us, encouraging admin to put more money into marketing, and then having really fun events and things to do on campus so that people want to be here for reasons beyond just academics. Because you can get an engineering degree a lot of different places, maybe not to this quality, but you can. And so having things outside of the academics that are interesting and important to people is a way to draw in more attention.
That's absolutely excellent. I agree 100%. So next up, we have a question from Ashton. Do you have any ideas to improve the dining options on campus?
So I served on the food committee for about a year. I was one of the student representatives to Chartwell's to discuss that. And unfortunately, there's not a ton that can be done because of how long our contract is with Chartwell's. I personally think that the food has been improving on campus, and we also have been improving options like having Two Taco and having the grill available for people. But for actual like concrete ways that you can improve the food on campus, we can look for better student representation on that committee because they have a direct impact on what meals are selected. Like on that committee, I was asked what meals I wanted to see more often. And so getting people on there who are interested and want to improve the food going forward is important. And then also just showing that we have the numbers and student support. So an option could be sending out a survey to students and being like, please fill this out. We're going to send all the data to Chartwell's. Please do that. There's already been steps from the SGA has taken to improve our access to food. Like last summer, there was a motion change so that student clubs could provide food for themselves that wasn't strictly from Chartwell's. And so the SGA has been working on it, and it is in our thoughts, but it is hard because the amount of the contract is a lot. Like the amount that we would lose for breaking contract and the years are both significantly impactful to tech in a way that it makes it difficult to change what's going on. So, yeah.
Hard road ahead, but definitely doable. Next up, what strategies do you have to train the next vice president to be as effective as you were during your term?
That's very sweet. That's part of why we moved the election up a little bit. It's happening a little bit faster than it normally would so that we can train them. So I'm going to invite whoever wins the vice presidential election to come join me in my office during office hours. I'll pull up a chair and they can shadow me for a week. I've also already come up with a pamphlet for them. It's called Vice President 101. I Canva'd it. It's kind of cute. And I'm going to hand that to them once they get into office. And it's going to go step by step what I do in a day or what I do planning for a Senate meeting. And I will also be in office with them. So if they have questions, they can come ask me how they can improve, and I've learned a lot from Eli, and I hope that I can pass on my knowledge and the past knowledge I've gotten from other vice presidents onto them so that once I leave the SGA, once they leave the SGA can continue to improve.
I definitely think that that's probably the best way to go. That's what I wish I had when I became the vice president.
It's just going to be like a little handbook for them of how to vice president, and then all the rest can be on them, but those are just the actual step-by-steps that they need.
That last question was from, I believe, Goldfish Ragnarok.
Nice.
And this next question is from, I think they found me, who says, Ella is killing it. And also, what is the most important change in your opinion?
I'm confused. Sorry. Thank you. Very sweet. But I'm confused on just change in general that I would like to make. I think the biggest change in general I would like to make is just greater collaboration. Greater collaboration with student clubs, greater collaboration with departments, and especially greater collaboration within the SGA itself. We have a lot of really dedicated, wonderful people with big ideas and a vision for how the SGA should work, but they don't always find the right person and connect in the right way to make that idea happen. And I would really love to connect all those people and start working on getting everyone involved in events. Our senators have been doing a really good job of stepping up and taking on more responsibility, and I'd love to see that continue next year for senators to be able to take on more. It's a great way to get involved in the SGA if you're interested. So.
Okay. This next question is from Austin, who wants to know, why is there little to no funding from the SGA to student clubs? He feels that they help build a support network for new students, and more funding would help immensely with student clubs on campus. Can I answer this one a little bit? Because this one's it's kind of on me before I leave, and a big part of that is the way that our budget is structured. In the past, generally we have $15,000 for student clubs in their regular budgets, and that goes across all student clubs. And then we have $20,000 for Senate bills, and this is per semester. And what we've seen in the past couple of years that we just hadn't been prepared for is that the need has increased, and the awareness of student clubs that they can come to us and ask for money has increased. So we've been stretching our budget thinner and thinner. So I will be looking at increasing that over the next year. So that's definitely a me responsibility. I will do my best to provide for you guys before I leave.
Yeah. Building on that, we've had an increase in student clubs. We had about 10 new clubs within the last year, and the budget did not increase because, as I said, with student enrollment going down, the SGA has taken significant budget cuts. I will say for the spring, almost every club got the money they asked for their budget. And so there are a lot of opportunities outside of club budgets to get money from us. And so if you're concerned that your club doesn't have money, please come to my office. I'm in my office hours from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. tomorrow, 1 to 5 tomorrow. If you'd like to come in and discuss it, I can hook you up with many different funding sources. I can help you plan a fundraiser. There are a lot of different ways that we can get that involved, because this semester there were a few less clubs who registered, so we did have more money to go around. So if your club particularly is struggling with funding, please come see me.
All right. This next question is from Deciding Odin. Do you have an opinion on planning activities with other colleges, like collaboration for community services or fun events?
I personally don't have a plan for that going forward. That will be a discussion that comes up after I officially take into office and start collaborating with the student governments at other schools in New Mexico. I know a few people on the student government at UNM, but I don't know anyone from NMSU, and it would be wonderful to include them and collaborate in some service projects, especially. I think that could be really good. Currently, we don't have a very strong relationship with them, and that's definitely something I can work for in the future. I don't have a set plan yet because I would want to discuss it with them first before coming up with my own idea, because it's hard going up next to those clubs because we are such a small school comparatively, and our SGA is significantly smaller. And so the amount we can do is much smaller than the amount they can do, and so it's hard to plan for because New Mexico Tech will unfortunately have to take a back seat in some of that planning because we can provide less people, less resources, and less funding than the larger institutions can. So.
Okay. This next question is from Rachel. Could we get more art or murals around campus?
That would be wonderful. There's a lot of chalk art that's been happening in the last year since I've been here. That's been new, and that's been lovely. But as a more permanent art installation, that would be wonderful. I know that there were some previous people in charge of Res Life and a few other departments that were trying to get more art on campus, but I haven't heard anything about it in over a year. So I can reach out and look into that for sure if that's a student interest. Absolutely. Art's very important. That's why people say STEAM, STEM with the A for art, because it's very crucial.
Uh-huh. Well, I think that is all our viewer questions for now. Any more? Going once?
There's one
going
at
twice?
The bottom.
That was the last one
I
just
cool.
asked you. So yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Well, then we will be taking a short break, and we'll be right back with the vice presidential candidates. We will see you shortly.
Bye. Thank you.
I missed. No, okay. Why is the NMT Instagram so lame? It should be run by a student or group of students.
I agree.
Oh, thank you, Bishop.
I agree very, very strongly. And this is actually something I met with the marketing people about 2 months ago and discussed with them why that we don't have more student collaboration on the Instagram, and that we could get more students involved, because we have a lot of really creative students who are doing excellent work. And so I think that would be lovely to get more people involved with that. So I talked to the marketing people about it, and they said basically they can't put it in a student's hand unless they have a student employee running it. So we could look into maybe getting them a student employee who works directly on their marketing to do that. And maybe include more of SGA, more K-Tech, more other student organizations. Some places like ResLife, they do a student takeover for a week or a few days. And we could do that with a student club, like a student club takeover on the Instagram. I think that would be really wonderful. And even if we have to send in the posts a month or a week or two in advance to get them on a week or two later, I think it would be worth it for marketing to clear those and then get more students involved and make our Instagram a little bit more interesting when people Google NMT and don't feel like it's so formal, because our Instagram comes off very formal.
I think one of the biggest gripes that I've seen in the past is that our Instagram is all professional photos of people and their research projects, that you will never talk to these people because they're so busy with their research and they're doing wonderful things, but that's not what brings people to our university.
I follow some of like the labs that are in New Mexico on Instagram, so that when they Google me for a job, they're like, oh, she follows us, because clearly that's what they're going to care about. And sometimes I get confused between the tech posts and the lab posts because they all look so professional, and that's upsetting, because we should look like a fun place to be, not a strictly research institution. There's a lot of other cool student groups on campus that could be promoting themselves on there and just don't have access to that platform.
Yeah. From Natalia, this is going to be the second to last question. I'll take one more from the chat, but then we're going to have to move on because we are a little more than a little behind schedule. Anyway, Natalia wants to know, how do you plan to make the SGA more efficient?
I think, again, I was talking about this earlier, greater collaboration is really important, because a lot of people have the same idea and don't know how to execute it. And so greater collaboration is really essential. I also think having a clear idea of what everyone's responsibilities are makes it more efficient, because then if something falls through the cracks, we know who can take that responsibility over, and that way there's more collaboration and accountability in what essentially is everybody's job and duty, because a lot of the SGA is people putting into, I always say for the SGA, what you get out of it, what you put into it, and that's lovely and wonderful because we have a lot of dedicated people, but that can also lead to issues of wondering whose responsibility is something or who should be taking care of this. And I think making it very clear, okay, these people are going to work on this part of the project, you guys finish this part, you're in charge of all the advertising, and just trying to make that very clear what the chain of command is on those and what the order of operations is, basically makes us more efficient. At the same time, getting in more people involved. So that's a little ambitious, I know, to like include more people and make it more streamlined, but I think it's possible for sure.
Awesome. Well, do we have anybody else? Any more questions?
Cool.
Going once? Going twice? Okay.
Okay.
Well, then
Thank
we'll
you so
start our
much.
short break, and we will see you guys later.
If
Thank
you're
you.
in the SAC, I'm going to go downstairs now so we could say hi and have any more questions for me there. So, cool. Thank you.
SGA debates? No. Does it start too early?
All right, introduce yourself. Sorry.
Welcome back to the 2025 SGA debates. In front of me, we have the three candidates, Delilah Villarreal, and Esteban Ortega, and Frederick Beckman. So I'll be asking all of you questions. I will get about 2 minutes to respond. I'll do my best to time you, but no promises. And then we will begin taking questions from the chat. First question, are there any specific goals you have for your term as vice president, and what do you hope to achieve while in office? We're going to start with Lila.
All right. I do have some goals. I would really like it if we could get more senator involvement. We have done a really good job this year with Ella Hooks as our vice president, but I would just love a lot more engagement with the senators and with the school, and with having more accessibility towards the bills to fill out. And yeah, that is my answer.
All right. Moving on to Esteban Ortega.
One of my biggest goals, if I were to be vice president, would be to continue to work on the SGA's imaging. I know there's some students that have expressed concerns on things that the SGA doesn't really have control over, and I just really want to be more transparent and be able to show the students what it is that the SGA handles, and what part is handled is stuff that is admins doing, and where we can operate. And so I want to continue to work on the SGA's PR, because I think we do a lot of really meaningful and impactful things, and the students don't know about it, and I just want everyone to know what it is we actually do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And Frederick?
Yes, so the main reason why I'm running for SGA vice president is because I want to make our fellow students proud and confident to be techies. I've heard many misconceptions and misunderstandings about the SGA, and I don't want people to feel like we're an elite bureaucratic organization, which is what we're not. So, and I believe that we need to have more friendlier leadership, and that we need to create a system that is mutually beneficial between SGA officials and the students. Because, in my opinion, everybody is equal in the eyes of the SGA. We serve to amplify students' voices rather than govern from above. And I believe that my mission would, as a member of the Public Relations Committee, I truly believe that it is my mission to restore the reputation of the SGA by educating students what we're about, who we are, what we've achieved in the past, and how we can continue to help. Students going forward in a new era of leadership. So that's my goal as vice president.
All right, thank you guys very much. Next up, my question is, why do you feel that you are the most qualified for the position? And we're going to start with Esteban for this one.
I believe I'm most qualified for this position because I have been a part of the SGA since my freshman year. I've served 2 semesters as a senator and 4 semesters as the CFO, and I believe that I know the inner workings of the SGA, and I already have those relationships with the clubs to be able to seamlessly transition into a new era for the SGA. And I believe that experience will be very beneficial for me in the office of the vice president.
Thank you. Frederick?
Yes, I believe I am the most qualified to be vice president because I'm the first to have announced my candidacy for this position, and I have dreamed, and from a young age, I have dreamed of being in public service. and I believe that it's the platform that I can run on to express myself and my viewpoints, and to echo the concerns that everybody is voicing right now. And as vice president, I want to make sure that every student is represented equally, and that we have the resources to ensure that every club, every student is represented fairly, and that there is no implications of bias whatsoever.
All right, thank you, Frederick. Moving on to Delilah.
Yeah, I think I'm the most qualified for vice president because I came from my high school being the student body vice president, and we had a really strong SGA over there, and I think I could bring those ideas towards the SGA here. I also know that I have been in the SGA since my freshman year, serving in the executive branch underneath the president as a technician, as a project manager, and as a advertising coordinator. I think I have the inner workings of the SGA as well, and I think I can bring a outside perspective to the legislative branch from the executive branch because I know how to put myself out there. I know how to to promote, and I feel like I would be a very good vice president with my enthusiasm and with my boldness to address certain situations and get everything flowing pretty well.
All right, thank you. My next question, a large part of your job as the vice president is handling club affairs. How would you handle conflicts and avoid miscommunication? We'll start with Frederick for this one.
Yes. So, being a VP is more than just being a manager of club affairs. It's the network that keeps us grounded with the students, the organizations, and the administration. And I feel it would be necessary to educate people on what it takes to run a club because they think they have the materials they need, but it turns out that they don't know how. So we need to provide the help that we can to support these clubs, such as what is the club budget, how do you write a constitution so that students can follow it and that future and current generations can look up to it as the role model for the mission of that particular club. So it goes beyond just being the manager for clubs. You've got to keep in touch with the students, the teachers, and everybody involved so that they have the resources to carry out their plans.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Lila?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, a large part of your job as vice president is handling club affairs. How would you handle conflicts and avoid miscommunication?
I think I would be really good at managing club affairs due to the fact that I'm a very good people person. I think addressing concerns and stuff like that is I would like to meet in person more than email chain, which email chain is a good paper trail. I just think a tone gets lost in emails. And so being able to be open and to schedule for in-person meetings and making sure that we're all on the same page and there isn't a confusion or concerns that arise that can be addressed right there and then. As being an RA and being able to talk to my residents and being able to address concerns that they ever bring up to me, I feel like I'm very well with problem solving and being there to help see both sides of the ends of the table and trying to have as little as possible confusion as possible. That was a lot of possibles. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Esteban?
Yes, I think communication and transparency is key to club affairs. I would, as vice president, want to make it easier for club members and officials to be able to communicate with the SGA. And one of the ideas I've had is I haven't decided how often this would be, but at least once a semester have a panel with the executive branch where students, club officials, club members can come and ask us questions, just any concerns, any criticisms they have, and that's going to make it a lot easier to communicate with the clubs. like Layla said, in email chains, tone gets lost and it's less efficient, but in person, you're able to convey exactly what it is that you want to convey. Along with that, I know as CFO, when I'm emailed a question, I'll respond, but it will typically take a few responses to actually get to fully be able to answer the question that I've been asked. And when people come in person, that's solved within a few minutes because I'm able to show them what it is that they're asking for. And so just being able to have transparency and communication with clubs is going to be essential going forward.
All right, thank you guys. Next up, do you think it is the most important for you to interact with students, administration, or other SGA members? And we'll start with Lila for this one.
I think all are important. I think students, being able to interact with students and people who go to tech is a very big part of being a vice president. I think you have to be a very good people person and be able to listen to everyone's concerns without being biased or anything, and just being able to be there for them when they talk to you and bring those concerns towards the SGA and help mediate or figure out solutions for them. I also think being communicative with administration and higher ups is also very important, because sometimes the student concern is administration, and being able to address those concerns and have a professional relationship with anyone above our office is a very important binder for the SGA, because we are here to help assist the students and have them have more engagement with the school, and you can't have that much engagement if you are not agreeing with some of the administrations. I also think that having communication with other SGA fellows, like the senators or the executive branch, even though we'll be legislative branch, and the judicial branch, is very important, because we need to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that if someone comes up, that we can all give the same uniform answers. Because if we're not all on the same page, then it makes us look bad as an SGA to not be able to address those uniformly and together. So being able to communicate with each of them would be very important for this job, and something that I know that I could fulfill.
All right, Esteban?
Well, all three are important to be able to communicate with. I believe that the students are the most important. We are the student government associations. We're for the students. That is who we need to be putting our most effort towards, especially in the vice president's, as the vice president, where the main thing you're dealing with would be club affairs. That is directly surrounding the students. Admin is important to communicate with as well. Admin is how you're able to make changes, real changes that affect everyone. But there are more people in the SGA that responsibility falls more towards. It's important for the vice president as well, but the president is the one who has the most communication with admin, and so I think our job is to support the students.
All right, thank you. Frederick?
Yes, I believe that all three branches are equally important, but most of all, we're for, like Esteban said, we are for the students. That's why we're called the Student Government Association. We're not just a faction of New Mexico Tech. We literally are New Mexico Tech. And in the position of me being vice president, it would be important to communicate with students about their needs regarding club budgeting, as well as other concerns, questions they might have about how campus events should be run, or how they can request money to go on trips, or to get the travel funding they need to go to these conferences and stuff like that. The administration is oversees the care of the students, and I believe that we need to have that bridge between the students and the admin, and keep in touch with them constantly so that there's no miscommunication, and so that the admin can represent and so that the admin can represent us in the best way possible. I worked with the dean of students for a year, beginning last year when I was a sophomore, and I have had very good communication relationships with Dr. Green, Peter Fea, and Dean Chapman herself. So I believe that as a representative of of both staff and students, I can bridge that divide, so we can have better communication with them.
Okay, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Next question. Is there anything that you would like to change about the Senate? And if you were elected, what role would you be looking forward to most as the vice president? Starting with Esteban.
I would like to continue Vice President Ella Hook's path of empowering the senators to take on more responsibilities. I think Vice President Hooks has done an amazing job with that, and I would continue on furthering that. I believe there is more that the senators can do. I believe that the senators can can talk more during the meetings, and if they are empowered to do that, then that means that the vice president and the CFO will not have to speak as much during the Senate meetings. And let's see, what was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question is, if you're elected, what role would you be most looking forward to as the vice president?
The role I would be most looking forward to, I would look forward to just improving relationships with clubs and really making sure that the SGA continues to improve. We've had further back in the SGA's past, there have been some controversies and some issues, but I think the current state of the SGA is doing really well, and I just want to continue down that path. I think President Collins and Vice President Hooks have done a great job, and I want to continue on the path they've set for us.
All right, thank you. Frederick?
Yes, one thing that I would like to see changed about the SGA is the way we engage in discourse. I believe every student has a voice, an opinion to state on a bill or an amendment of the Constitution or whatever is brought up to the Senate floor. And I think that we all need to exercise bravery in how we address what we feel and how we think. Because I'm all for giving clubs the money they need to do what they're able to, and sometimes being in an uncomfortable position, such as whether or not to give them XYZ amount of money, is crucial. It's crucial to state your opinion because it's crucial to state your opinion on how you feel about a certain bill, because if you're just voting in line with the rest of the senators, that's just conforming to the mainstream. You need to be able to say why you're in favor of or against it. So I believe every senator should have a chance to express themselves individually. And I would also like to see student engagement within my own committee, the PR committee, because my chairman has requested suggestions for surveys as to how the SGA can improve our relationships with the student community. For example, what social media platforms should we use to reach out and boost student engagement. What recurring themes would you like to see in future SGA-sponsored events? So I believe that having an open forum, a discussion on that matters a lot. And I would also like to see the same level of respect given to every guest speaker who comes to our meetings, because we've had chaos before when politicians have come to visit, and we want to be able to be the least biased as possible while letting these people speak and say what they're about and how they can help us as a community, but as Socorroans as well.
All right, thank you so much. Lila?
I wouldn't change anything in the SGA. I would improve. I would want to improve the social media and the communication with students. I feel like coming from a very bigger school than New Mexico Tech, we had a pretty big following on our social media. So trying to amp up the Instagram better and make it more obtainable and more participated in would be a very good step to bring change with the PR committee and everything. I would also love the chance to just have more student engagement. Is a collective thing I think we all have. Is I would just really love to have the senators and the students on tech just be able to know what's going on, so that comes with the PR and the social media, but also get the chance to be involved and have something interactive. I would also love the transparency and the communication from the SGA to the students, maybe initiating a 1 month update of all the Senate meetings and giving that email out, and just making sure that everyone knows that what we are voting on, what we are agreeing to, and what decisions we have came up to every month, and just giving them that little giving them that information so that they stay up to date and that they know what bills are being passed and what bills are being denied, and so that they just have accessibility to what we are doing. And then I'm so sorry, what was the second part of that question?
The second part is, what role would you be looking forward to most as the vice president?
The role I'm looking forward to the most of being vice president is the club aspect. I think being able to talk to students who are involved with their clubs and stuff like that, I feel like we've came to such a bad rep with clubs, and I would love to repair that relationship and be able to talk to them and understand where their concerns are coming from, and hoping to put a new foot forward and be able to help address those concerns, ease anyone's mind, and be able to just be there and listen to their concerns and see what I can do to help the clubs feel more connected with the Senate.
All right, thank you very much. Fair warning for the chat, this will be my last question from my prepared list, so please start putting your questions for our candidates in chat, and I will get to those shortly. So my last question, what do you believe is a big student concern, and how do you plan to address it? Starting with Frederick.
Yes, I believe the biggest student concern is, well, I believe that there are many student concerns amongst students, but the biggest one that I believe is most prominent is how are we being represented effectively? How do we, as the Student Government Association, aim to benefit students who seek our help? So giving that sort of awareness training helps them ease their minds as to who we are and what we can do to support them. There have also been student concerns about the quality of food, staleness, the pizza, people getting sick from eating Charcoal's food, and I believe that it's important to communicate with those sorts of people who are responsible for giving us what we eat, because that's our fuel to get us throughout the day. Among other student concerns, I just feel that we need to have effective leadership and that leadership just doesn't come with looking good for the camera or giving an award-winning speech, but advocacy must be paired with action. What is there to fight for if you're not stating what other people are thinking? So I believe that having the bravery to come out and say what you want is the main reason why I'm running for VP, because everybody needs to express their concerns unashamedly. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Lila?
I think the biggest student concern is not being informed. I want to make sure that everyone is informed and everyone has access to what events we are doing, what bills are being passed, how to submit a bill, and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people feel like they don't have access to it or don't know how to get to it. And so being able to become vice president and be able to partner with Webmaster or PayDirt, or the struggles I had when I was advertising for the executive branch, just being able to fix those mistakes. I've learned a lot since my 4 semesters being in the SGA of how to engage with students and how they would like to be engaged with. I think social media is a really big part in that, as first off, and then just being able to communicate not just via email. I know a lot of students on campus who don't check their emails, which is one reason they're mostly not informed, but being able to communicate with not just email and communicating with posters and stuff like that, just to make sure that everyone understands what we are and what we are trying to accomplish. And I would really love to fix that part of the SGA.
All right, thank you. Esteban?
I think that there's two separate groups of students with 2 separate groups of concerns. I think student clubs, students that are a part of a club, their concern is how much funding they're going to get, the relationship between the club and the SGA, and it's more focused around what they're able to do as a club using the SGA's funds. However, most students at Tech are not affiliated with a club in any capacity. And so for those students, I think their biggest concern is, how does the SGA serve them? So how does the SGA serve non-club member students? And I think that the SGA has to find a way to reach those students and show them, hey, this is what we stand for, this is what we do. We're not only focused on clubs, we're not only focused on hosting events, that we are doing stuff trying to improve life on campus for the average New Mexico Tech student.
All right. Thank you guys very much. We'll now be moving on to questions from our chat. The first question that I have is, if you were an egg, what type would you be? Boiled, poached, or balut? Please don't pick the last one. If you don't know what it is, I'll tell you later. And we'll start with Lila for this one.
Oh, great. What kind of egg would I be? I think I would be those Easter eggs, the hard-boiled, that you can like dip into the dye and make all different colors. But I think I would be like my Easter egg, where I think all the colors are pretty, and I dip them into each color, and then it's not a pretty color on the egg. That's the kind of egg I would be.
Thanks. Esteban?
Oh, I'd absolutely be a scrambled egg, because that is how my brain feels during dead week, twice a year. And even mid-semester sometimes, I'm like, oh, I'm getting pulled all over the place, and yeah, definitely scrambled.
Okay. Frederick?
Well, if I'd be an egg, I'd be a hard-boiled one. Just tough on the outside, soft on the inside. Yeah.
All right. Next up, I have a question from an anonymous submitter. What are some common issues the student body voices about the SGA, and how do we manage them? And we'll start with Esteban.
Sorry, repeat the question, please.
What are some common issues the student body voices about the SGA, and how do we manage them?
I think The most voiced concerns I've heard has been issues regarding club funding. I know that there are a lot of clubs who feel like they haven't received the type of funds that they would like, and I think the best way to address that is to sit down with the clubs and explain how it works, where we get our funding from, how it's divided, what metrics we use when considering where our funding goes towards, and then I know there have been some concerns regarding personal bias affecting decisions. From my experience in the SGA with the officers, I haven't seen that. I've seen all the members of the cabinet. I believe they're all incredibly professional. They act based on what they think is best based off our Constitution and the rules in place on how we serve the community. And I don't see that as something that has occurred during my time in the SGA.
All right. Thank you. Frederick?
Yes. Can you repeat the question again?
The question is, what are some common issues the student body voices about the SGA, and how do we manage them?
Yes. So, just a minute. So, during my time as a senator, I can tell you one of the common concerns among the student body is that we are biased or skewed towards one group rather than the other, and this has been prevalent during a session where we've had to negotiate on funding for the rugby team for the championship. And while we're an organization that deals with academically oriented clubs, I feel that it's important to give every club, every organization the consideration they need, so that they can succeed in whatever it is that they're trying to do. Now, typically we don't give funding for athletic clubs, but in this case, it was an emergency because they were short on funds. And we just want to make it clear that there are procedures in place that we use to consider how much we're giving to each club, because we don't want to strain the budget. We don't want to waste money that could be used, could have been used wisely for something else. So we're just trying to help them the best way we can, so that they have a good portion of their expenses covered, and we can educate them on ways to continue to fundraise, so they eventually have enough money to go out and carry on with their duties. So I believe that making it clear that we act based on conviction, not personal judgment or opinion, is a huge factor when it comes to leadership.
All right. Thank you. Lila?
Being the project manager in the SAB, the biggest concern I hear from the student body is they're not being informed. The way the SGA is trying to fix that, or the way I would want to fix that, is that our social media is really down. I would really like to revamp it and make it way bigger, communicating to K-Tech and making sure that they get the announcements out, making sure pay dirt's up to date and stuff like that. And just we're already setting dates for the 49ers and spring fling next year, so everyone is up to date and knows what date it is going to be a year in advance. And just making sure that we are being more mindful when we're advertising. I keep saying social media, but not everyone has a social media platform. So being able to communicate face-to-face, being more active with the student body, if it means bringing out a table in Fidel and just sitting out there and making sure they know what events are happening this week, or just being more known towards the student body and putting myself out there to know that they can come to me for any questions, or if they have any questions about an event happening, that I can give them all the appropriate information. That would be my answer.
All right, thank you so much. The next question I have is from Carl, and he asks, what are the plans to improve the quality of life for students around campus? And we'll start with Frederick for this one.
Yes. In order to improve the quality of life, we need to be transparent about who we are, what we're doing. And I believe that, as my opponent, Lila, has mentioned, I'm a strong supporter of giving people flexibility in communicating with us, whether that be through social media, a Zoom meeting, going just beyond our traditional means of just emailing people, and that we need to expand our resources so that we can respond to each student individually based on their concerns. Can you repeat the question one more time?
The question is, what are the plans to improve the quality of life for students around campus?
Yes. Just informing them, making them be a part of the loop is important for them because they need to know what's going on. And social media and opening more doors to communication can be our window into so that they can see what we're doing, so that they can see us in action. We're not just operating behind the scenes. We're not underground. We are here to be open and to be able to serve you however you feel it's best. So and also regarding food, I would really like the standards of food to be updated, because I don't really like having to eat, crusty pizza or just spoiled hamburgers that have been out for hours. So we need to ensure that the food that we're being served is fresh and that it's healthy and safe for us to eat. And then when I used to live at the dorms during my younger years as a student, I feel that the quality of life regarding that can also be improved by addressing problems with plumbing, housing, just infractions in the infrastructure, and so being able to be aware of what those concerns are and having those concerns brought to us can be great, so that we can list the problems and figure out how they need to be tackled.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Lila?
I think improving quality of life at Tech is being able to enjoy the little moments, like having the fun that we have, and just being able to enjoy those moments, even if it's like an SGA event. Hot dog eating contest was really fun, and stuff like that. Just being engaged and being able to put yourself out there, because Tech has so many opportunities for you. You just have to be a little bit more social. And being able to put yourself out there and make those connections and enjoy the SGA events that we provide, or if your improvement in life means you want to know the ins and outs of the SGA, becoming a senator and being able to be a part of the decision making and stuff like that. It's a hard way to measure a better quality of life at Tech if it depends on your personalities. And I feel like Tech offers anything for anyone's personalities, whether it is coming to our events and enjoying them because you like the social aspect, or being a part of the SGA and becoming a senator because you like being able to build on a community and have your voice being heard and have a vote towards that decision. That would also improve your quality of life. Or if it's just making friends in a setting that you didn't know you would make friends at, because I know that everyone on the Senate and everyone in the SGA is very friendly and very sweet, and they would love to just listen to your concerns and talk to you and make sure that you feel like you are a part of Tech. And just knowing that the SGA is more of a student body kind of hold, where we are here to support each other, because Tech is a really hard school sometimes, and sometimes you just need some support from everyone else. And so being able to have those moments and have those opportunities, I would say that is a improvement.
All right, Esteban?
Yes. So the SGA has a student feedback form, anonymous student feedback form that on our website and on Tech Connect. And I think that is key to improving the quality of life for students here on campus. Through that, if enough students are concerned about something and we're able to bring that physical evidence to admin and put pressure on admin to show them that this is not just something that's affecting one person, it's affecting all of us. That's how we create actual change on campus. That's how the SGA was able to overturn the rule that was placed by Chartwell's, where clubs were not able to purchase non-Chartwell's food for their events. The SGA reached out to students, got their concerns on it, brought all of that to admin, and they were forced to change it back to how it had been before, and now everyone's allowed to have Domino's at their club events again. And so I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of as a SGA member, and I think we can continue doing stuff like that going forward, but it takes all of us to actually make change happen.
All right. Thank you, guys. The next question is from Goldfish Ragnarok, who says, there have been growing tensions between some student groups, especially after the recent national election. How will you ensure that students feel safe, protected, and represented? Starting with Lila.
There is always going to be conflict when it comes to different opinions and different beliefs and different whatever we will disagree on. I feel like being vice president, you have to make sure that you are not quieting other one's voices or making sure that your voice is louder so that it covers up other people's voices. I would want to make sure that I kept a level head and made sure that everyone felt welcomed and didn't make anyone feel unwelcomed or feel like they were not allowed to be in the senator group or in the SGA because of their conflicting beliefs or opinions. I would hope to carry myself and carry the SGA and the senators in that same mindset, and making sure that people don't feel discriminated against, don't feel like their voice is less than other people's voices because they don't agree what another person is also believing in. I want to make sure that the SGA is mindful for we will all have different opinions and we will all have different backgrounds and different beliefs, but we all want to come together and we want to make New Mexico Tech student body better, and we want them to enjoy their time in college and not feel afraid to have their voices and voice those opinions and voice those beliefs, because everyone's feeling that way. And we just have to make sure that we stay professional about it and stay we want to voice our concerns and want to hear your voices, but we want to make sure that we do it in a respectful and just way, and not just a name calling or yelling way. And so as vice president, I would make sure knowing that line and making sure no one crosses that line.
All right, thank you. Esteban?
Yes, I agree with Lila. I believe that everyone has a right to voice their opinions and their beliefs, but they cannot do it in a way that is going to take away someone else's voice or make them feel unsafe. And so I believe that as long as we as students are able to keep the discussion civil and we're not trying to put anyone down or spread hate, then I believe these discussions can be had, but there is a time and a place for them. If you go to a club event and just start, talking politics to someone that's gonna disagree, you're trying to antagonize that person. That's not the proper way to handle that. But if two people want to sit down and discuss it and share their opinions, then or more than two people, they're more than welcome to do it, but it has to be done in the right way.
All right, thank you. Frederick?
Yes, I believe that civil discourse is a huge factor in student engagement. Everybody's going to have a different side of the story. Everybody's going to have a different belief or a different set of principles. And it's important to make sure that we are not siding with one group, one party or the other, but that we are thoughtful and that we are considerate of where all people are coming from, and that we give them a platform to voice their opinions in a civil and respectful manner. Like Esteban said, there's a time and a place for when sensitive topics like politics should be held, and they should be handled with care, so that nobody gets infuriated or offended because someone else believes differently and is acting like they're better than they are. So we need to make sure that we are the peacemaker of the school. That we are not openly endorsing or condoning just radical policies, but that we need to be open-minded, and that every student needs to be able to feel like they know where they're coming from and have someone understand that message and channel it in a way that's non-aggressive and that's polite and agreeable.
All right, thank you so much. Our next question is from Ephraim. What core values do you have that you want to bring to the position? And we'll start with Esteban for this one.
My core values is that everyone is equal and everyone's voice deserves to be heard. I want to make sure that no student feels like that they don't have a place here at Tech, that they're not welcome at events. I want to be open to all. I want to have a tightly knitted community here at New Mexico Tech, and I think that the SGA can really be an organization that is able to create that space. For example, at the mental health committee events, I feel like that it's a very safe space. Everyone feels like they can go there and not have to worry about whatever it is that's concerning them in their day-to-day life, whether it be schoolwork or anything else. And I want that to be the case at all events, not just the mental health committee's events.
All right, thank you very much. Frederick?
Yes. Can you repeat the question one more time?
The question is, what core values do you have that you want to bring into the position?
Yes. The core values that I would like to introduce as vice president would be transparency, accountability, and being able to give students the moral support that they need if they're feeling overwhelmed, or if they're just not having a good day, and that they need to feel validated by a higher up, so that their concerns could be rightfully addressed, and they can walk away feeling like they've accomplished something. Well, for example, I feel that our mental health serves as the primary point of contact for students who are just not having a great day, or who are really in trouble, and they need to have the resources to figure out what's wrong, and so that they can get out of that situation. I feel that being as the SGA, being the best, trying to be the best friend of the student community, is the way to ensure that students are likely to feel heard, validated, and that they can walk away feeling like they have been heard. So yes.
All right, thank you very much. Lila?
My core values is I always want to bring energy with enthusiasm. My other one is I always make sure to put my best foot forward. And my last one is I always want everyone to feel safe and at home whenever they're around, because I know I like to feel safe and at home. Being a bigger sister and coming from a pretty big family, I bring that into my RA job very much. I always want to make sure that I have an open place for everyone and stuff like that. So community comes into my core values as well. I'm a very community person. I need to be around my fellow peers to feel that safety and that home body. So bringing that into the vice presidency, I would love to make sure that everyone feels safe and comfortable when they come talk to me, because that is a big thing. I'd never want anyone to have anxiety or feel anxious when they have to come talk to me. I want them to feel like you can just come into my office and enjoy a cup of coffee and tell me about your concerns. But then also being enthusiastic, I feel like when I see people who don't like their job, it very much affects the way they produce. And so I want to make sure that I'm always coming in with a smile on my face, or a energetic hi, saying hi to everyone and stuff like that. I think it boosts morale and it just makes it a very welcoming and cozy place whenever you are greeted, or whenever you are also greeted with a smile. That's always made me feel very well. And always putting my best foot forward. I know there's going to be hard decisions to make, and I just want to make sure that I'm making the best one for the student body. And also making sure that I am not just relying on myself, that I'm relying on anyone who needs to be part of the decision making, and being there to make sure that I am not only thinking about what benefits me, but what benefits everyone else.
All right, thank you very much. Moving forward, just so you guys know, it is currently 8:39, so we are pretty well past when we originally intended to end. I'm going to start combining questions that are of similar nature, and I would ask that you guys keep your responses a little shorter and more prompt and to the point, but please do your best to answer the question. So our next question is combined from Natalia and Ben, and they want to know how you want to make sure every club feels equal and eliminate bias and any kind of preferential treatment when it comes to student clubs and organizations, particularly their funding. And we're going to start that with Frederick.
Yes. So my plan of avoiding potential or bias in student clubs would be to look at what they need on a case-by-case basis, review it with an open mind, and go through the specifics of how much money they're needing, why they need it, and how they plan to put that money to good use. We're supportive of many clubs, and we want to make sure that that every club has the resources they need from us to continue with their plans and to walk away feeling like they've accomplished their goals. And with me as the VP, and with me as the club affairs manager, I feel that it's important to really hear people out with an open mind, not just discriminate against people based on favoritism, or because you don't like so and so who happens to be a part of that club, that they're going to be denied the help they need. We would like to do our best to stay professional, to put on our professional sunglasses, and understand where they're coming from, so we can make sure that these clubs go home, and even individual students feel that they've accomplished their goals, and that we have given them the resources they need to feel safe and comfortable, and whatever they ask of us. Being the best, so I feel it's important for us as the SGA to be the best friend and the ultimate advocate for the students, because the buck stops with us, and we need to be treated equally as others. So stepping into the shoes of students and understanding their mindset, where they're coming from, is empathy would be a key principle in how we deal with making sure that we're the least biased as possible. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Lila?
Making sure I'm unbiased towards clubs or organizations. As my time as an RA, we were given training on biasness and stuff like that with sometimes your residents or your friends, and knowing how to make that line as an RA and resident. And so I would bring a lot of those qualities from those trainings into the vice president, by making sure that, yeah, I might be friends with you if you're on a certain club and stuff like that, but we have guidelines and we have policies that we have to follow, and making sure that I'm in an open mindset to make sure that I won't just award this thing because we're friends, or I won't award this because we're enemies. I want to make sure that I put my best foot forward, like I was saying, and have a clear mindset and an open mind when it comes to making these decisions, and making sure that it's not only me making these decisions, it's everyone who needs to be on the case when it comes to awarding money. But just making sure that I have my answer, but then also making sure and double checking with other people what their answer may be, and knowing what we have to offer and what we can offer at that time, and what we can offer down at that time later on as well.
Okay, thank you. Esteban?
Yes. So I believe that it is essential for clubs to be treated fairly, but that doesn't necessarily mean equal. It would not make sense for all clubs to receive the same budget or to be considered the same when making decisions regarding clubs. There are guidelines in place for if a club is on probation or has or is an associate club or is a graduate club, and so we have to operate within those guidelines, as well as we take other things into consideration, such as how much money they already have in their account that is available for them to use, how many members are in that club, how active of a club it is. And so it's never going to be equal, nor should it be, but it has to be fair. We have to use the same rules for everyone.
All right, thank you so much. This next question is a combination from Ben and from Kitty, and they would like to know how, as the vice president, will you be tracking, managing, and promoting clubs on campus so that they're all seen and represented, and how you're going to ensure that the SGA has its access to information as up to date as possible? And we will start that question with Esteban. Oh, sorry, you just finished. I lost track. We'll start with Frederick. Sorry.
Yes. So I will make sure that. Can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah. So one of the responsibilities as vice president is to manage, track, promote, and assist clubs on campus. How would you ensure that all clubs are seen, heard, and represented? And how will you make sure that the SGA keeps its information as up to date as possible?
Yes. Yes. So as the ultimate student platform, we will make sure that every club is represented, and we can do that by helping them with their advertising, their publicity, making sure that they want to be seen the way they want to be seen, and making sure that we're going through the documents to make sure that we're up to date on our duties, our responsibilities would be important, because we don't want to rely on something that was from years ago, and we want to have a document. We want to have documents that reflect the rules that we have now, because things have changed a lot since then. I would like to be able to manage these clubs more efficiently by giving them making appointments, listening thoroughly to their concerns, and giving them the equal time and representation they deserve, so that they can go home feeling proud and they can go home feeling proud and that they have been listened to. There's never going to be a perfect outcome for every club, and we can't always give them exactly what we want, but we have to operate by the guidelines and make sure that we maximize our potential to give them all, maybe not all, but most of what they need, so that they can have the resources to operate efficiently and not feel like we're being starved of money or just being sidetracked because one club asked for too much. Now we don't have enough to give the other what they need. So being able to hear the concerns out and balancing our priorities of the SGA with the students would be the best way that we can manage club affairs and stuff like that.
Thank you. Lila?
I think my way of how I would manage and make sure that I know the clubs and stuff like that is I love Excel sheets. Excel sheets are my favorite. And making sure that I have it very nice and organized, and that I write down the steps of what I'm doing so that anyone can follow the steps of how I have organized the way of knowing how much money we've given clubs and stuff like that. And then also with being able to communicate with clubs and have that communication, I would love to do maybe once a month meetings with the presidents of each club and understand what their next plan is, what is coming forward, their events, and stuff like that. And then also maybe being able to go to some of these club meetings and see what is happening and what are they about, because while I know a lot of clubs on campus, I don't know them all, and I would really love to know what we are trying to support or what they are very interested in doing, because being able to know what people are interested in and what clubs have the most population, and being able to see all these cool things and have that knowledge for when they come ask us for something, or when they come ask a question about something, that I know exactly what they're looking for, or not exactly what they're looking for, but like have a good idea of it because I have been to a meeting, or I have had these meetings with these presidents, and being able to know that we are trying to work together, not against each other. And by being open and having these meetings and having all these organized sheets of what they need and what they're asking for, I feel like is a very big part, and I am a very big people person, so I'd love to.
All right, thank you so much. Esteban?
One of the biggest things that I would like to do is potentially work with K-Tech to video the mandatory club meeting and make that available for clubs to access at any point in time. I know that a lot of questions that come up and confusion and miscommunications that happen are regarding things that were addressed at the club meeting, but it's a long meeting, not everyone's able to make it. If one officer goes and has to convey it to another officer, things get lost by word of mouth. And so I think it's great that we send out the presentation, but also have the explanations that go along with it. Would be great to just cut down on overall confusion and hopefully avoid the same questions being asked by clubs, by different clubs every year. And yeah, I would want to hopefully work with K-Tech on that.
Awesome, thank you so much. Our next question is another combined question. This is coming from, I think they found me and Ben, and they would like to know, the current vice president has been in the SGA since freshman year and has been in charge of clubs and held positions of leadership. What position of leadership do you think will qualify you the most for this position? And we'll start with Lala.
Hold on, I have to think about this. Leadership roles, I would say being an RA for 2 years in the Torres dorms is a very big leadership role, especially with the rowdy freshmen. I have been able to be a role model and be a source of knowledge for them when it comes to resources and stuff like that. And so having that big role in especially a first year building is something that very much qualifies me to be able to talk to people and not have any bias and stuff like that. And just have that experience under my belt, especially, I know it's not from the SGA, but it is a really big part of campus student body, because a lot of us do still live on campus. And then also being a project manager in the SAB, being the SAB Sophia Rosa's right-hand man, and making sure that everything is getting done on time and that we are advertising as best as we can at the moment, and just being able to see the student body react with our events and stuff like that. I feel like both those roles very much lead me to success.
All right, thank you so much. Esteban?
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier, I have served the SGA for my entire time at Tech, both as a senator and as the CFO. Outside of the SGA, I am currently the vice president for IEEE, and I was formerly the treasurer, and so there's a lot of leadership skills required to operate as an officer of a club and to put on events and manage and plan trips and request money from the SGA and from other departments, and so I think that's a big leadership role I've had. Outside of Tech, I taught a summer robotics class. I have coached youth baseball and basketball, and in doing those things, I know what it's like to lead a group of people, and I would argue it's even harder to lead a group of young people who are very hyper and running around and don't want to listen to you, and to be able to reach them and get and lead them to where you know they can get to. And so I think I've had a lot of leadership experience that has prepared me for this role.
All right, thank you so much. Frederick.
Yes. One of my biggest leadership roles has been being the assistant to the dean of students, the student affairs office, because that position has given me the power to direct students to the people they wish to see, and being the student advocates for the student affairs office has given me that torch to be passed on for the students to the staff, because I can communicate with them easily and I can make them feel welcome. And when they visit the office, I've been friends with Dean Chapman for a very long time, and I was honored to have been given that job a couple of years ago when I was trying to find student employment. Apart from that, when I was in high school, I used to be the head volunteer of Explorer Science Museum's summer camp initiative. So I would guide students from different schools to their exhibits. I would make teaching scientific concepts fun for them by playing around with the interactive exhibits and engaging in the activities to make them feel like they're a part of the action. And I would also consider my time at the SGA as a leadership position in itself, because I have voted numerous times to give multiple clubs allocation for funding, and having served in 3 committees, the Legislative Standards Committee, the Club Affairs Committee, and currently the Public Relations Committee, has given me a window into the different branches of how the SGA operates, and how each is dedicated to improving themselves in that certain aspect. Like I said, I think the Public Relations Committee has been the most important committee I've been on, because there are many misconceptions about what the SGA is and who we're about, and it's important to give people the education and the training they need to understand that we exist for them. We don't. We're not trying to benefit ourselves in some way, but we have to work within the guidelines to help students properly. So it's important for them to take into consideration that we have a job to do, but they're they're not going to make us do it how we want. We have to follow the rules, and so do they. And understanding the rules and balancing that with their priorities could be a healthy way to open those lines of communication and make sure that messages are being heard and relayed.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to give you guys 2 more questions. Once again, a reminder, please keep them brief. And after these 2 questions, we're going to close out because it has been almost 2 hours since the debate started, and I know everyone has other pressing matters to attend to. So starting with Esteban, this next question is from Penguin 115. How do you ensure that students feel safe on campus in places like the library and Fidel?
Yes, I think it is very important for students to be able to feel safe anywhere on campus, but especially in such common areas like the library and Fidel. And I would have to speak to the students and hear the concerns and take into what is causing students to feel unsafe, because that should never be the case, especially in the main building on campus and then the main study building on campus. And so that is something that I would need to do an investigation on and work with other members of the SGA and the student body to figure out a plan for that.
All right, thank you so much. Richard?
Yes, I'm actually shocked that that there are these things happening at the library and elsewhere on campus. I think that as us living in a small town, it's generally been safe for us going to school here, but there also needs to be rules put in place to ensure that every student feels safe, because ultimately the reason why we're here in college is to get an education. We need to feel safe. If we can't learn if we're not in a safe space. So we need to educate students on the rules, what is socially acceptable, what isn't. And to understand that we are here for one purpose, and it's to achieve the education we need so that we can graduate and go out into the world and accomplish what we want to do. I think that increasing Title IX training would be a very big way to get students informed about sexual harassment and what resources they can look to if they feel threatened or unsafe. Because we at the school, we don't like just learning or just having fun. We need to feel safe in an environment where we can do all the things we like. So opening up, being more vocal about the resources that exist on campus, and guiding people to who they need to speak with would be essential to giving these students the help they need whenever they feel uneasy. And as VP, I'll just say this: you can talk to me whenever you like. I'll be there for you. I will make sure that your concerns are heard and are kept confidential if need be. So I feel that being personable and relatable with students is the best way to make them feel safe and comfortable.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Lila?
I would want to talk to the student, particularly if they were feeling unsafe in Fidel or in the library, because I know I've shared my concerns and things that make me feel unsafe. And so being able to know exactly what is making them feel unsafe and being there to support them and making sure that if there is certain things that are not happening or certain things that they are afraid of, that I bring it up to the higher ups and make sure that we get a solution put in place as timely as possible because they're not feeling safe at this moment. But also, if they're not feeling safe, maybe doing a buddy system and walking with them and stuff like that, because I know that in Socorro it's kind of hard sometimes because even though we're a small town, it's really a interesting town to feel comfortable in, and I would want them to feel comfortable, whether it's feeling welcoming and stuff like that. So if it needs to be partnering with OSL to make sure that the library is a little bit more welcoming and more cozy, so that when you get into the library, you're not worrying about your safety. You are just feeling at home and making sure you're doing your homework, and the homework is what we need to be focusing on, not our safety, because why would we need to worry about our safety if we were on a safe campus? And if those are concerns, then I would make sure that Campo is doing maybe more patrols and stuff like that, but also just making sure that everything feels very welcoming, because I know welcoming can sometimes combat you feeling uncomfortable or feeling unsafe. Or in Fidel, maybe partnering with Fire and Ice and making sure that people are getting a smile, because sometimes everyone just needs a smile in their life. And so either making it more cozy and welcoming, but if it was actual like very bad, unsafe conditions that they were feeling, then making sure that I put those to higher ups and making sure that those problems were addressed as soon as possible to make sure that this student or students are feeling comfortable on campus.
All right, thank you so much. Esteban?
Oh,
sorry, I lost track again. It's a very long debate. I apologize, guys. Okay, sorry, last question. This one, we'll start with Frederick and we'll end with Esteban. Many students are not happy about the library's hours, and there are not many places for students to study otherwise. How can we improve study spaces for students on campus?
Yes. So besides the library, we need to open more avenues for where students can study on campus, because the school should be the property for all students, and we can't just restrict the library to the only quiet and peaceful place where they can study, but also open up more doors and buildings to students where they can study safely and comfortably. We have computer labs at Kramer Hall, even at Fidel Center. So there, and during crucial times throughout the semester, such as finals week or midterms, there should be regulations enforced so that students are able to concentrate and not be disturbed by loud noises when they're trying to prepare for this very important exam or this presentation that they're about to give. So having more than one tutoring room, more than one, as being able to open as many places to study as possible would be a great way to ensure that people have variety in where they wish to learn. And I also think that the more designated rooms there are, the more students can feel safe and at peace with where they're at, because you should be able to study anywhere you like on campus. There is no building that or area that is supposed to restrict you from doing so. So being able to have that unconstrained freedom to get your tasks done is very important, and that's what I feel that the purpose of tech is, to give people the education they need so that they can learn whatever, wherever. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Lavin.
I'm so sorry, can you repeat the question?
It disappeared off of my chat, but the best that I can recall is, The library sometimes it seems that the hours are inconsistent or that they need to be open later. How would you approach solving this issue?
The library hours, I would love to address this issue because I know I run into it sometimes when the library feels like it closes too soon and you still have work to do, or you had a lab really late. And so maybe being able to talk to admin and see what we could do about those library hours. Or I know that there is a computer lab in Fidel, and that Fidel doesn't close until 11 p.m. or sometimes midnight. And so asking them, because I know that that computer lab closes sometimes, but maybe a step to changing the library hours would be changing that computer lab hours, because I know there's a printer in there, and I know that we can just that we can unlock it, and that we could have more security over there and make sure that those come out a little bit longer, because it will be in the main building in Fidel instead of in the library where it might take a little bit longer to convince them to change hours. I feel like having a process step before getting to the actual goal is also a very good idea. So a process step being, can we have that computer lab open in Fidel a little bit longer so that people who live off campus or live on campus and don't have access to computers in their buildings are able to come to Fidel and use that computer lab for either lab reports and stuff like that. But if it's the library that you're truly needing and you need those study rooms and stuff like that, making sure that we can put that into play and then try to work on making the library hours more attainable for students, because I know that tech is really hard and sometimes we will be in the library for 5+ hours. And so just addressing that and making sure they know that the student body really needs access to computers a little bit longer than an average student would.
All right, thank you so much. Esteban?
Yes. So regarding the library, I believe most nights it's open until 10 p.m. And I think having it stay open later would provide some difficulties due to staffing. It would be hard to staff enough students to keep the library open past 10 p.m. But as others have brought up, Fidel is open later. We could look into trying to get Fidel to stay open even later than it is, because I believe at one point Fidel didn't lock, that you were able to go into Fidel at any point, and so maybe not bringing it back to that, but at least extending the hours a little further into the night. And then regarding the computer room inside Fidel, it is my understanding that that room is never supposed to be locked while Fidel is open, and that has been a consistent issue during my time here at Tech, that the computer lab locks, and not even late at night, just middle of the day, you try to go to that computer lab and you can't get in. And so I think that would be the biggest way, is to figure out, why is this room locking when it's not supposed to be? Why do students not have access to this computer lab? And so I think if we can gain access to that computer lab and potentially extend Fidel's hours, then that would provide a alternative study space. It wouldn't be as ideal as the study rooms in the library, but due to staffing concerns, I think that would be the best option we could provide.
All right, thank you guys all so very much. It's been a pleasure to have you guys here and answer the questions from the students. We are well past the original intended time for this, so we'll be having a short break, and then I'll be right back with a message from K-Tech. Thank you.
So you be first.
Hi guys, welcome back, and I just want to give a enormous thank you to K-Tech for helping us host this debate. This has gone absolutely phenomenally, and I am so happy to be here and that we could put on this production. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. This video has gotten way more viewers and views than I ever thought we would. It was great to put this on. And thank you guys so much. You guys should keep tuning in. If you guys would like to join K-Tech and be part of productions like this, you guys should join on Tech Connect and YouTube and then come to our meeting, which is tomorrow night at 8. It's a real blast. And thank you again so much to everyone. And then I think that's it. Before we leave, I just want to say thank you to our donors, which are the City of Socorro, Walmart, and of course the SGA gave us a bunch of money. Los Victors, thank you. Okay, so thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you so much to you guys for being so active in the chat. Thank you for the 5 big booms. Was incredible. Thank you. Hope you guys tune in for more shows. Thank you so much for, you guys did great. And we'll see you guys at the debate next year. So you can go ahead and play us out, Sophie.